This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, May 10th, 2006, and this is episode number 98 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from ngmstudios.org. On the panel today is Mike Scopa of mouseplanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
It's like I always say, Your Majesty, children will be free to lead their own lives.
I didn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger does the voice for Sebastian. And we also have Len Testa, the co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
Howdy-ho, Matt.
It's Wednesday, and of course, if it's Wednesday, that means we're answering your listener questions. So if you have your own listener questions, you can email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. Our first question is from Chris S., who writes, My family and I are going to Walt Disney World at the end of May. Do you think that my 7-year-old daughter and 11-year-old son would enjoy receiving Pal Mickey? Is it worth the money, or is it just incredibly irritating?
The 7-year-old might enjoy it. For the 11-year-old, it might be a little too... what's the word I want to use? Yeah, a little too...
Juvenile?
Juvenile, thank you. Good word, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things with Pal Mickey. I mean, one is in terms of usability. I know version 2.0 of Pal Mickey is much larger, but there are still times when you're walking through the park and the ambient noise is so loud that you can't hear what he's saying. So you've got to hold him up to your head to to listen to. So you've got these the image of these adults walking around with this plush toy stuck to their ear. You know, in July, it's probably not you don't want to attach something with fur to your head. It's just, it's just not that great. If there's a 3.0 version of it, maybe, but maybe your 7-year-old would. The sad thing is you can't rent them anymore, right? You have to buy them now.
I guess too many people are using them in July and holding them close to their heads. And
exactly.
Mickey was coming back a little.
The wandering of the Pal Mickey, exactly. So I think, it's okay. It's not great. Maybe for your 7-year-old, but that's. I don't think she would necessarily feel deprived if you didn't do it.
Okay. Well, that question was actually from Jennifer Solling. I apologize. This question is actually from Chris S. And Chris asks, has 2 questions. First is DisneyQuest worth a visit for a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, 7-year-olds, and a 4-year-old? And if it is worth a visit, what type of day, as in rainy, sunny, weekday, weekend, would be less crowded? Thanks for all of your listener question podcast episodes. They are very helpful and insightful, even if you seem to grumble about them most of the times. We grumble about them?
I love the listener shows, listener questions.
Yeah. No, Scopa doesn't like it, but anyway.
Well,
let's blame Newell. He's not here.
Regarding DisneyQuest, we talked about this in the past, I think, and I think we need to set the record straight, and that is that if you've never gone to DisneyQuest, sure, I would say go to DisneyQuest. I think you would have a good time. I think everybody should visit that 5 floors of activity at least once on a visit if they've never visited before, and I think they would enjoy it. As far as which day of the week, I would go any day of the week in which it's the best, whatever day offers the best weather for visiting a theme park, that's when you go to DisneyQuest, because everybody's in the theme parks. You don't want to go to DisneyQuest when it's raining, because everybody goes to DisneyQuest.
That's a great tip, Mike. I'm always the person who says, "Oh, just go during when it's raining. It's something to do." But yeah, it probably must be dead on like a beautiful day.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, if school's in session, like on a Tuesday morning, there's rarely going to be a way. We hear that DisneyQuest might be closing in 2008, so obviously it's not as popular, or many people don't think it's worthwhile, or it's not as popular as perhaps it might have been. The issue with DisneyQuest, I think we said this in a previous episode, is it's 5 floors of video games, but I guess keeping those video games up to date requires a capital investment that Disney wasn't able to recoup, because some of the attractions use versions of virtual reality that are primitive by today's standards, and the problem is a lot of this technology has the shelf life of a sesame bagel, as we like to say. It's just not.
I have a prediction.
Go ahead.
And that is that Cyberspace Mountain will end up in interventions.
Ooh, maybe.
Well,
maybe I heard something.
Maybe. Very facetious of you, Mike. Our next question is actually from another Chris, who writes, Matt, wow, I probably set the record for questions on your show. Here's the scoop. Meeting my cousin from Canada at Scopa Towers, where he is staying on a Saturday night in May. Question, what are the best adult beverage establishments within Disney and close to Pop Century, and that's one option, and then also best adult beverages in Pleasure Island? We both enjoy beer thoroughly, if that helps.
In Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island.
Well, they've got that, what's the concoctions place? Classic Concoctions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
they've got beer, wine, pina coladas, the specialty drinks.
My vote goes to Island Road. I don't know why you would.
Classic Concoctions.
Well, that's actually in Pop Century, though. They're in Pop Century, so that's in Pop.
Oh, in Pop. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, I think it's open evenings. But that being said, yeah, take the bus to Pleasure Island. My God. And I'm sorry, Matt. What was the place that you recommended? I don't recall ever hearing it before.
This place, I heard about it. Is Raglan Road? I don't know. I think it has a Scottish theme to it. I'm not sure.
Scottish theme. Yeah. So yeah, definitely Raglan Road versus is the place to go to. I would say in Pleasure Island. After 9 p.m., there's a live band that starts 9 p.m. nightly. Wide selection of beers, spirits, and ales. There's the house band will actually play around 10 or 10:30. There's an Irish song called "Whiskey in the Jug," and it's sort of like the United Kingdom version of Rocky Top.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they play it, I feel this need to drink whiskey, even though I don't drink very much, even whiskey. But yeah, but I mean, Raglan Road's a hoot. It's the food's really good. Service is a little spotty, but overall, I mean, geez, you can't do it. It's probably the best drinking establishment I would think in downtown Disney, probably in Walt Disney World. Where else would you go? I guess the Dawa Bar in the Animal Kingdom might be one place.
Well, he's only interested in Pop Century or Pleasure Island, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's got to be Raglan Road. Where else would you go to in downtown Disney or in Pleasure Island for drinks?
So the thing is, Len, you almost want to talk about you almost want to start talking about the boardwalk area too.
That's true. Jelly Rolls is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Jelly Rolls is a dueling piano bar at the boardwalk, open till 2 a.m.
I believe that's correct. And
that's pretty fun because you get to call out the songs and they'll play them. The piano players are very good. There are two of them. They take turns. Apparently there's some video of Bob and I doing a conga line during Mouse Fest one year there. We've been unsuccessful in buying the negatives for.
Our next question is from Anna Morganier of Port Jefferson Station, New York, who writes, actually she writes she's from Toronto, Ontario. I don't know how that works. But anyway, I'll be traveling to Disney World in May with my wife. My son is 1 year old, and my niece, who is 6 years old. I wanted to know which rides and attractions at the park that I could take my 1 year old on. Is there a website that could outline different rides or attractions they could go on?
We have a book called The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. We'll actually list attractions that are appropriate by age. And you might want to try All Ears Net. I don't know if they rate them by attraction. Disney might also have something on their website, but navigating the Disney website's a chore most days. But start with the Disney website. They should be able to show you by each for each park the kid-friendly attractions there. I would say start there.
I would actually just recommend the Unofficial Guide. I think it's listed by different age groups, and I think that's probably your best bet, without sounding like a shill for Len.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll put some balance in there. I'll say Passport 2 would be a good book to look at as well. Not to say that the Unofficial Guide would not, but I think if you see similarity in recommendations for attractions by both books, that should give you a sign right there.
It'll be. I'm sure we have a consensus on a lot of those attractions.
Exactly.
That question, by the way, for the 1 year old is actually from Brent, which makes more sense because he's from Toronto, Anna Morganer from Port Jefferson Station, actually, her question was, I was wondering if you could tell me if the Carousel of Progress will be open in May. Thanks. Keep up the great show.
It is open in May because I was on it this week. I've walked over to there, and the first thing I did when I went into the Magic Kingdom, I went right over to Tomorrowland and went right up to the cast members and said, so, tell me, when are you closing? And they looked at me and they said, we're staying open. We don't know where all these rumors are coming. We haven't been told any. So as far as they're concerned, well, who knows? They're probably being kept in the dark. But it is open in May, and one of the reasons why it's open is because Timekeeper is closed and it's going through change, and there are a lot of things that are closed in the Magic Kingdom, so they are definitely keeping Carousel of Progress. And in the past, Carousel was only open Monday through Friday and only for a short window of time. It is open from the time the park is open in the morning until it closes at night.
Oh, really? It's not open 10 to 6 or whatever?
It's open as long as I was there, Len. Late Thursday night, it was open. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Chris, who's better known as CGS878 at WDWtoday.com. He posts a lot over there. And Chris writes, hey, Matt and WDW denizens. I was wondering what you Disney regulars think are the best Disney dining experiences, specifically for dinner, for families that are staying at off-site properties. My family and I will be in Orlando for 2 weeks in May. Judging from past 2-week vacations in Orlando, we will be looking for different and interesting restaurants during the second week after having Cracker Barrel 2 to 3 times and going to Chef Mickey's once or twice in the first week. Yes, young children are involved. Are there any Disney properties outside of downtown Disney with good restaurants that are easy to get to by car and fun for families with young children ages 4 and 7? I appreciate your input on this.
Whispering Canyon at the Wilderness Lodge.
You stole my recommendation.
Go ahead, talk about it then.
Whispering Canyon, it's at, like Glenn said, it's at the Wilderness Lodge. It's great because you can probably get a reservation there fairly easily. It's not one of the more popular ones in terms of how many people sign up for it. But it's great because it's got that kind of, it's not quite the 50s primetime cafe where they kind of make fun of you while you eat, but certainly there's a lot of fun to be had there. The waiters have a little different gags, and depending on, be careful what you ask for over there, because it can result in some public humiliation. And as long as that's okay, it's all in good fun, of course.
As long as the public humiliation is okay with you.
Right. But it's a lot of fun. I think I ate there in February, and I found it pretty good. It's great, especially for a lot of people who've never actually been to the Fort Wilderness area and Wilderness Lodge. Great place. It's a good excuse just to go over there, take a look at it, because it does take about 8 buses to get there.
If Chris is driving though.
All right, so then that's all the more reason, Chris. I would definitely go for that. I mean, all you do is just go right to the Magic Kingdom and take a turn before you get to the actual Magic Kingdom. That's my recommendation. Go, but do you have any?
If they have never been, I would strongly suggest going to the Rainforest Cafe because of all the animals. Well, wait a minute now. Which one? I guess that's a tough one. I think that the service are in downtown Disney, but I like the one at Animal Kingdom because it just seems to be bigger. But if they've never been to that restaurant, Matt, I think the kids would get a kick out of it with all the.
But if they've never been to it, Mike, then they should go to their local mall and eat there. That's where. I mean, that's the reason why I don't recommend it.
There goes the gift certificates we were going to get from them. But okay.
I'm not a fan. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of it either. But if you've never been to it, it's like this. It's like the DisneyQuest question. If you've never been to it, give it a shot. They may like it. Yeah, there are a lot of things that we've been to, so we're our senses have been dulled to DisneyQuest. But someone who has never been to Rainforest Cafe, give it a shot.
Well, I think your money's better spent eating at a Rainforest Cafe off Disney World property. And I'm sure aren't you also a fan, Mike, of, at the Wilderness Lodge, not Whispering Canyon, what am I thinking of?
Artist Point?
Then maybe it's not that. I'm thinking of something else. I can't
think of.
We talked about Boma on a previous show, right?
Yeah. Do you think that's good for young children, though?
Well, it's not so much that Boma is good for young kids, but you've got amenities in the Animal Kingdom Lodge after dinner that I think the kids would enjoy. The night vision goggles where you can see the animals, the storytelling. around the fire. I mean, the food that they've got for kids is the typical beige menu of fries, mac and cheese, chicken fingers. I think they do grilled cheese, and pasta with or without tomato sauce. But the afterwards, I think, is the stuff that they offer at the Animal Kingdom. I think is probably a good choice as well. I think that's probably why I'd recommend maybe Ohana too. I don't think the food's that great now, but afterwards you can probably walk by on the beach and see wishes from the beach.
Are we talking any specific meal, Matt? Are we talking breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Or are we looking at focusing on just dinner?
Specifically for dinner.
For dinner? Then
anything at the boardwalk that would be that'd be good. I can't think of any boardwalk area. Can't think of any dinners.
Kind of been like a little. Yeah. I still like it, but I've certainly heard that it's not what it used to be.
Well, they lost their chef. He went over to somewhere at the Grand Floridian a couple of years ago, so that's
exactly.
I think those are the big choices. So it's Ohana, Whispering Canyon,
Teppanyaki.
Yeah, Teppanyaki. We mentioned that a couple episodes ago.
It's entertaining.
It's entertaining. I don't know that the food's that great, but
no, it isn't.
But in terms of decent food, I mean, is there anything that has like, of all the places that we mentioned, which has both the best food and a decent amount of entertainment?
Oh wow!
I think the happy medium would probably be Whispering Canyon.
Whispering Canyon or Ohana. I don't think for food that Rainforest Cafe is gonna hold up there.
Ohana's for dinner though, Glenn. Maybe Ohana's for breakfast. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say dinner.
I know. Hard to say. All right, so Whispering Canyon, I think, is probably Chris, your best bet.
Our next question comes from Tim in Baton Rouge, who proclaims before the email even started, "Scopa for King," followed by about 10 exclamation points.
Check is in the mail.
My wife and I are slated to stay at Caribbean Beach Resort the second week of May. The last time I stayed there was about 1989, so memory has faded. Some horror stories concerning the buses have been relayed to me by some friends and from posts on various websites. Is there a problem with the bus service, or are these accounts anecdotal? If there is a problem, what can be done to avoid it? Any other information on the Caribbean Beach Resort would be appreciated also.
Do we know where he is staying?
He doesn't.
Has he selected a room?
He has not indicated on the email. All he knows is that Scopa should be king.
First suggestion is to ask for the village of Martinique as your place of stay. Because
I believe Martinique is a country now. It's a full-fledged country. Go ahead.
It's a full country. But Len, that's a preferred village though, correct? I believe there's an extra surcharge because of that being specified as preferred village within the Caribbean Beach Resort. One of the reasons why, because it's so close to the food court, and it's also I believe it's the first bus stop. So, one of the ways to avoid any problems of getting on a bus is to have your room at Martinique, and so that you can be on the bus first, and you can also get off the bus first when you come back from the parks at night. Buses around here have the bus transportation system is constantly changing. It's like you never know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis. Len probably can speak to this better than I, because he's got better data, but I'm not a fan of the buses, so I'm probably not a good person to comment on it. But again, Martinique is the place that I would want to stay if I was going to. As a matter of fact, I've stayed at the Caribbean about a half a dozen times, and I only stay at Martinique.
Yeah, there's Jamaica's got a bus stop, Aruba's got a bus stop, Trinidad, North and South have a bus stop, but those are farther along. Martinique, I believe you're right, Mike. I think Martinique is your first. Yeah. Aruba, I believe, is your last. It's either Aruba or the Custom House is last. The thing that we like that's good about Martinique is that you're relatively close to Old Port Royal. But if you can't get Martinique, is Trinidad North preferred, Mike?
I don't know.
So Tim, here's what to ask for. If Martinique is a preferred view and it costs more, ask for Trinidad North or Jamaica. And the reason for that is Jamaica's got its own bus stop, and there's a walkway between it and the food courts. Everything else, like if you're in Trinidad South, or if you're in Barbados, or even Aruba, you're probably as far away from the food court as you could be. So if you don't have a car, it's really a hike. In terms of bus service, yeah, I mean, Caribbean Beach is sort of towards the middle upper end to get to the Magic Kingdom. You want to allow about 45 minutes to get to the Magic Kingdom. You want to allow about 45 minutes to get to Epcot. A little bit less than that for the studios. Roughly the same amount of time to get to the Animal Kingdom too. And I think the reason is it makes so many bus stops. I mean, you figure on 2 or 3 minutes for every bus stop that you make inside the resort, times 5 or 6, you got 15 minutes right there.
Great. Well, that's it for us today. This has been episode number 98 of Walt Disney World Today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us all your questions at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.